6 weeks. NDTV exposes major lapse in monitoring Tamil Nadu drugs manufacturing unit. CAG had flagged shortfall in the state of Tamil Nadu on the drugs tests last year, warnings that were ignored by the state government. Tata Trust board meeting scheduled today. The meeting comes at a time when there are reports of a bitter turf war within the trust. Sources indicate Chirag Paswan is not satisfied with the NDA seat sharing talks. Chirag Paswan wants at least 40 seats. Enforcement Directorate heat on Bengal Minister Sujit Bose. ED conducts raids at least 8 locations in Kolkata. Israel approves Donald Trump's Gaza truce plan. The US president claims all prisoners may be released as early as next week. And all eyes on the Nobel Peace Prize announcement later today. Donald Trump takes a jibe at the former US President. Obama says he was awarded for nothing. All right, we have some breaking news coming in on the NDA seat sharing in the state of Bihar ahead of the elections there. LJP's Chirag Paswan is keeping the suspense alive. Chirag Paswan, speaking to the media, has said that all is well in the NDA seat sharing talks, but sources are telling NDTV that Chirag Paswan is not happy with the seat sharing arrangement talks as of now. He wants at least 40 seats.
मैं जानता हूं कि आप सब सिर्फ घोषणा का इंतजार कर रहे हैं, वो भी जल्द हो जाएगी, पर इतना मैं जरूर कहूंगा कि बातचीत बहुत अच्छे से, बहुत बढ़िया से, कल जैसा आदरणीय नित्यानंद जी ने कहा, सकारात्मक, बहुत ही सकारात्मक रूप से बातचीत हुई है, हो रही है और अभी अंतिम दौर में अब ये बातचीत पहुंच चुकी है। मुझे लगता है जिस घोषणा का इंतजार आप सब कर रहे हैं कि कौन कहाँ कितनी, हम लोग हर एक माइन्यूट जितने भी डिटेलिंग्स हैं, हर चीज को हम लोग पहले ही डिस्कस कर लेना चाहते हैं, ताकि बाद में गठबंधन के भीतर किसी भी चीज को लेकर, सीटों को लेकर, प्रत्याशियों को लेकर, कहाँ पे कौन कैसे प्रचार करेगा, कैसे, हर चीज को विस्तार से हम लोग चर्चा करना चाहते हैं, जो कि बहुत अच्छे से हुई है, हो रही है और मुझे लगता है बहुत जल्द आप सबके सामने।
All right, that was Chirag Paswan speaking to the media. I have Aishwarya joining me live. Aishwarya, it's all very well that before the cameras, you have Chirag Paswan saying that all is well within the NDA. This is the final round of talks that's happening. We're just short of an announcement. But behind the scenes, Aishwarya, we've seen so many BJP representatives in Bihar hold multiple talks with the man. And in a way, he's tight-lipped, still tight-lipped about what he wants, at least before the media. He's made it clear to the NDA, of course.
Well, certainly, and if all is well, then why so much of delay in declaring the seat sharing formula as far as NDA is concerned? Why till today, when the nominations have begun, the seat sharing formula has not come out? Of course, sources in the LJP clearly stating to us that it is the same kind of formula that LJP is seeking with 12 seats to JDU, then the JDU is probably fighting to at least 100 seats. Then why not 8 assembly seats per MP? And LJP has 5 MPs in their kitty, so that clearly goes to 40 assembly seats that Chirag Paswan wants to fight. Is something that the sources have been indicating to us, and therefore many developments have taken place since yesterday when Dharmendra Pradhan, Nityanand Rai visited Chirag Paswan's residence. Yesterday, at 2 occasions, Nityanand Rai visited Chirag Paswan's residence. At once, Chirag Paswan was not available at his residence. And today as well, it was again a second round of meeting with Nityanand Rai happening. And Chirag Paswan on the camera, of course, saying that everything is well. We are discussing on a minute things at every assembly, who will be, doing the campaigning, who will be contesting, and therefore the reason we have to close things as soon as possible. But it seems difficult at this time, and we are just hoping that the formal announcement will be very soon.
And all the back channel talks still on. Aishwarya, thanks for joining us live, but not much being given out by Chirag Paswan at this point, other than all is well, and the BJP saying that the talks have turned out to be extremely positive, but of course, a lot of huddles in Bihar at this point over what Paswan needs and wants. We're shifting focus to South India now, where we have some breaking news coming in. In developing news, the Kerala High Court has given an interim order on Sabarimala gold heist. Court confirms the theft of gold. This is very important. The court has gone ahead and said that there has been theft of gold. The court also has found some suspicion on Devaswam Board's decision to hand over the artifacts. That's the latest that we have on this. Ashwin joining me live. Ashwin, very quickly take us through the observations made by the court, and there is a report also, final report, I believe, that is to be submitted within the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely, Vedika. The division bench of the Kerala High Court, headed by Justice V. Raja Vijayaraghavan and Justice K.V. Jayakumar, has given the special investigating team 6 weeks to complete the investigation. Not just 6 weeks, the court has also mandated that every 2 weeks the updates of that investigation be directly handed over to the court. This is a very important order that has come from the court, because the court has very clearly told the investigation team that they are answerable only to the court, and all the updates of the investigation must be handed over to the registrar in the Kerala High Court. Not just that, the current Devaswam Vigilance, which has been probing this case after the High Court's Suwamoto case was taken, it has been directed to hand over all these documents to the registrar as well. So the court is very actively following up this case and has made a special investigating team that is headed by H. Venkatesh. And certainly this is a very important development, and the court has confirmed that theft has indeed happened with Unnikrishnan Poti as a middleman, and more people are involved in this case, which belongs to the Travancore Devaswam Board.
Ashwin, thanks for joining us live. And NDTV's Ashwin Nandakumar reports on how the gold doors travelled around South India, lost weight, and even turned into copper. Here's a special report.
What began as a grand donation in 1998 has now turned into one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the hill temple of Sabarimala. In 1998, Vijay Mallya donated around 30 kilos of gold to the Sanctum Sanctorum. A year later, 800 grams was added for gold cladding of the doorkeepers of Sabarimala. But fast forward to 2019, the Travancore Devaswam Board allowed Unnikrishnan Poti to refurbish these plates. The journey of these sacred artifacts of the temple and this door raised more questions than answers.
On the 19th of July 2019, the gold cladding on the door and the doorkeepers was removed and weighed at 42.8 kilograms. The next day, on the 20th of July, Unnikrishnan Poti took the dismantled pieces out of Sabarimala, and they were meant to head straight to Smart Creations in Chennai. But the consignment reached there only on the 29th of August, 39 days later. When it did, the firm confirmed that the door wasn't solid gold but copper, and the weight had dropped to 38.25 kilograms, a loss of 4.54 kilos.
The 39-day delay in the missing 4.5 kilos of gold was the first puzzle. The return of these artifacts was even more troubling story. Instead of it going back straight to Sabarimala, the artifact made detour to private homes and temples across various states.
In September, once the work was done, Pottu brought it back to Kerala. On the 9th of September, it was taken to a private temple in Kottayam. Between then and September 11th, it was also taken to famous Malayalam actor Jairam's house, to temples in Andhra Pradesh, and to a temple in Bengaluru. And finally, on the 11th of September, it reaches Sabarimala.
The unanswered questions remain. Was it the same door that left Sabarimala which came back? If yes, where did the 4.5 kgs of gold vanish? Who authorized the detour of the temple artifacts to private homes and other temples? And today, what truly stands at Sabrimala? Is it gold-cladded one or simply a copper with gold plating? Until there is clarity, the Sabrimala gold door will remain an open mystery and a test of accountability. Fortunately, the High Court has set up its own special investigation team. The faith of millions of Ayyappa devotees now rests with what the SIT is going to unravel. Ashwin Nandakumar.
Programs have long nurtured the Afghan youth. We will expand avenues for Afghan students to pursue studies at Indian universities. Sports is another long-standing connection. The emergence of Afghan cricket talent has been truly impressive. India is glad to deepen its support for Afghan cricket. As you are aware, India has introduced a new visa module for Afghan people in April 2025. As a result, we are now issuing greater number of visas, including in medical, business, and student categories. Excellency, we have a common commitment towards growth and prosperity. However, these are endangered by the shared threat of cross-border terrorism that both our nations face. We must coordinate efforts to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We appreciate your sensitivity towards India's security concerns. Your solidarity with us in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terrorist attack was noteworthy. India is fully committed to the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of Afghanistan. Closer cooperation between us contributes to your national development as well as regional stability and resilience. To enhance that, I am pleased to announce today the upgrading of India's technical mission in Kabul to the status of Embassy of India. Once again, Excellency, a very, very warm welcome, and I invite you to make your opening remarks.
Subat au anafet sara marastakavi. The Lordwalo la para zeh khokem che pah Kabul ke the Hind takniki mamuriyat the Hind the safarat haisiyat tah Lordwalo elan kadam. Usual bia the tod harkale au zeh staso tah balana darkavam che khaple pranistun ki sargandne wakadai.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, before everything else, let me express our gratitude for the hospitality and for the invitation. Let me express my gratitude for your hospitality and invitation, and I'm happy to be meeting you here in Delhi. As you know, Hind is a historic and important country of this region, is multicultural, a very hardworking population, and we have long civilizational and people-to-people ties for centuries, and it is not only limited to geography, but also to business, culture, sports, and other links that have binded us together. In 1947, we began official bilateral diplomatic relations and have had close policy positions on many issues. Now it is important that we increase our understanding and make use of our capacities and opportunities. India has always stood by Afghan people and has assisted them in many areas. Similarly, over the past 4 years, and particularly the recent earthquake in Kunar, India was the first country to respond in humanitarian assistance, and we would like to show appreciation. Afghanistan looks at India as a close friend. Afghanistan wants relations based on mutual respect and trade and people-to-people, political trade and people-to-people relations. The Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan stands ready to create a mechanism of understanding between two countries, and these consultative mechanisms work towards strengthening our relations. Approximately 9 months earlier, I met with the Deputy Foreign Minister Vikram Singh in Dubai, and this was the good start of high-level engagement, following which I had 2 phone calls with yourself, which gave new impetus to our relations. I am happy today that I'm here in Delhi, and this visit will increase or strengthen the understanding between both countries and open a new chapter between these relations. We hope that Afghanistan and India, on an official level and in different areas, increase their engagements and exchanges. We hope that through talks and dialogue we can increase the level of understanding between us. During the American occupation, there was many ups and downs that happened. However, throughout this time, we never gave a statement against India. Rather, we always sought good relations with India. We will not allow any group to threaten anyone else or use the territory of Afghanistan against others. Daesh is a challenge for the region, and Afghanistan is at the front lines of this struggle. Luckily, the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, its forces and its strong struggle against it, has eradicated it from Afghanistan. The need of our region is that we combat this menace together. And this is a need for the common prosperity of both nations. Let me again express my gratitude for providing this opportunity. I have more to add, and we will continue the talks. Thank you.
Opening remarks from External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and the Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Muttaqi is in India for a week of talks. It is the Taliban's highest level in terms of talks with India since seizing power in the year 2021. The focus, of course, is on diplomatic trade and economic ties. The visit is being seen as a ramping up of India's Afghan policy, a meeting that Pakistan will be watching closely. You had Muttaqi there speaking as part of the opening remarks after External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Remember, India has a lot of investments in Afghanistan that they want to keep safe. And of course, this is also India's strategic power play at play, safeguarding the over $3 billion investment in Afghanistan and ensuring that the Afghan soil is not used for anti-India terror. In those opening remarks, even the Taliban representative talks about how important India is as a country to the Taliban and to Afghanistan. Also, remember, India sees this area as a counter to Chinese influence through BRI and other reasons as well, why India finds Afghanistan to be a strategic country in terms of relations. Now, let's also just tell you why Afghanistan matters. It matters because of the crucial regional power balance that India needs to maintain in the region. It's a strategic location key hub for global interests and acts as India's vital gateway to Central Asia as well. That meeting underway now, opening remarks done. You heard from S. Jaishankar and the Afghan foreign minister there. Taliban Foreign Minister Muttaqi. He is in India for a week of talks. This is, like I said, Taliban's highest level visit to India since seizing power a couple of years back in the year 2021. The focus is on diplomatic, trade and economic ties. And this visit is being seen as a ramping up of India's Afghan policy, a meeting that Pakistan, of course, will be watching very closely at this point. Vishal now joins me live. Vishal, this is a rare moment really captured on camera. Till a few years back, you wouldn't have anticipated a meeting like this between an Afghan Taliban representative and Indian officials.
Yes, this is huge, and the statement that the Afghanistan acting foreign minister has just said that they won't allow Afghan soil to, flourish anti-India activities. That is a huge statement coming from the Afghanistan dispensation, and it's not surprising also because Afghanistan and India have had, big relations, solid relations in the past that seem to be hampered by this Pakistan in the middle, because Pakistan has been trying to interfere in the relationship between India and Pakistan and has been successful to some extent. But now that stage has ended. Now Afghanistan and India have both decided to join hands, establish a new partnership. That statement itself signifies a big moment, because the fact that Afghan Taliban is now saying that it won't allow Pakistan, an old ally of Taliban, to do some anti-India activities on its soil. That is a big statement, because Taliban itself was founded by the help of ISI, Pak Army. One of the biggest officers of the Pak Army was one of the founding members of Taliban. So this is a significant turning point in the relationship between India and Afghanistan. So we'll have to see what happens now, because we have seen in the last 48 hours or so, there have been some strikes inside Afghan soil from the Pakistani Air Force. We've had reports coming in saying that there has been considerable damage, but we've not heard about the death count. What happens on that front, all of that will have to be seen.
Vishal, do stay with me. I have Vishnu Som also joining me on the phone line. Vishnu, some important statements being made there by the Afghan representative. You have Muttaqi going ahead and saying that Afghanistan will not be allowed for any anti-India activity.
I think there are a couple of very important parts over here. India has a technical mission in Kabul that has been re-upgraded to the status of Embassy of India. In other words, full diplomatic relations between India and Afghanistan have been restored. And very significantly, in this visit of the Afghan foreign minister to New Delhi, his first visit to this country as foreign minister, India has expressed, and I quote, a common commitment towards growth and prosperity. However, we are endangered by the shared threat of cross-border terrorism that both our nations face. We must coordinate efforts to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We appreciate your sensitivity towards India's security concerns, your solidarity with us in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terrorist attack was noteworthy. This is geopolitically an extremely significant step. Remember, Afghanistan faces concerns from Pakistan. India faces threats in fact, from Pakistan. Therefore, there is a common concern over terrorism. This has been highlighted by the External Affairs Minister in his meeting today with the Afghan Afghan Foreign Minister.
And a meeting that Pakistan will be watching closely, Vishnu.
I think Pakistan would see this as a very key move. The fact that we've got India reaching out to the Taliban leadership in Afghanistan, something which would have been thought to be unthinkable a couple of years back.
Yes.
New Delhi's foreign policy has been pragmatic. We've reached out to them. We are reaffirming our commitment to aid, and that's been spelled out as well. But the 2 points over here, the full restoration of diplomatic ties, number one, and number two, by stating that India has shared concerns on terrorism with Afghanistan, it certainly puts Pakistan in a pickle, if I could use that word.
This is, of course, the highest level of talks in terms of a Taliban representative to the country after seizing power in 2021. The visit is being seen as a ramping up of India's Afghan policy. If you could talk to us more about that.
Well, India, remember, was one of the countries which
Don't
actually
talk to me while I am
diplomatic
asking a question.
India downgraded our diplomatic relations when there was when the previous regime collapsed. There was a fairly dramatic movement out of Indian Kabul, along with Indian nationals who were there. Remember, the previous government collapsed within a couple of days, very, very unexpected. But what we have seen since then is a pragmatic foreign policy. India is now looking at, and in fact, there have been additional flights between Kabul and New Delhi which have started. India is giving them more ambulances. India's greatest contribution in Afghanistan, and this is something I've personally tracked for so many years now, is humanitarian assistance. We've had a children's hospital, for example, in Kabul. We've had a lot of food supplies. We've had vaccine go in. We've had education missions as well. So these are things which impact Afghans at a very basic level. So trade between Afghanistan and India is something that we've stepped up. We have moved towards talks with the Taliban regime over there. It remains to be seen whether there is 100% full recognition of the Taliban government by India in Kabul. But I would suggest that with the restoration of full diplomatic ties through the reopening of the Indian embassy, it operated in a small way, but the fact that it's now got a full status of an embassy means that you are effectively recognizing the government of Afghanistan. So that's a huge step forward.
Talk to us about the deteriorating relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan at this point, because of course it has a bearing on what we're witnessing in New Delhi as well.
Well, I think that's very, very important. Remember, the Afghan government was very quick in supporting India when the Pahalgam terror attack took place. These are remarks which would have been noticed by Pakistan very closely. Pakistan's ISI has had a close relationship with many in the Afghan government in the past. But I do believe that there are winds of change. New Delhi is consolidating our relationship. We've seen reports of Pakistani attacks far out as Kabul itself. There have been lots of fighting on the boundary or the border region between Afghanistan and Pakistan lately. It's the Durand line. It is contested in certain areas. And therefore, as a result of the tensions which presently exist between Afghanistan and Pakistan, I would suggest that a closer proximity of Kabul and New Delhi diplomatically is something which India would certainly value.
All right, Vishnu, do stay with me. I want to put that question to Ambassador Trigu Nayat, also joins me on the phone line. Thank you for speaking with NDTV, sir. We're just hearing that there's going to be a full restoration of diplomatic ties between India and Kabul. Your first reaction to that?
Well, I think it is formalizing the arrangement that we already have. I mean, we have a technical mission there. Embassy continued to function at a technical level, as we called it, to carry on various projects. But in the meantime, as you know, that our foreign secretary had also met, and foreign minister had twice spoken to his counterpart. Mr. Mutaki is now here, obviously, to sort out issues about the Afghan embassy here and the Indian embassy there, so that the normal relationship without even the so-called de jure recognition, could continue to function. But de facto recognition has already been there virtually by the whole world, and of course, the Russians have formally recognized the Afghan regime. So it's a matter of time by which time we'll do that. But for us, most important thing is Afghanistan remains a very, very important partner for India, a historic civilizational partner, and they have a tremendous regard for India, including the Taliban. So irrespective of the regimes that have been there, this kind of a P2P connect has always been very functional, and that is the strength of our relationship. So you will recall that when Indian embassy was about to vacate in the wake of Taliban taking over, Taliban had requested the Indians that not to go, not to leave. They will look after them. Our problem there was not Taliban per se. Our problem was essentially the ISI-linked groups as well as them who were attacking India. And as you know, today, as Foreign Minister Mutaki is in India, we are seeing that Pakistan has started attacking various places in Afghanistan as well, under the garb of, attacking TTP and all. Whereas Afghanistan government, Taliban, has clearly assured India that they will not allow any anti-India activity to take place from there. And that has been one of our major concerns. It has happened in the past, but now that they have been very clear. Their stance has also, they've been one of the first countries actually which had condemned the Pahalgam terror attacks. And they are even ready to work with us to counter terrorism wherever it is possible. So I think that there are a lot of things. India is the only country in the world, basically, which has helped rebuild and in the reconstruction and development of Afghanistan in the past 25 years. So I think that this is still on the crossroads of geopolitics, but at the same time, the trust in our relationship continues unabated.
Mutaki has also gone ahead and said in those opening remarks that we will not allow anti-India activity in Afghanistan, a comment which is highly significant given the deteriorating relations between Afghanistan and Pakistan at this point.
Well, that is true. I mean, this they have been saying from forever. In fact, not from now only. And this is, I'm happy that he has reiterated this. This was one thing to assure India that nothing anti-India would be allowed from the Taliban side, basically, or whatever it controls. But as you know, it's also become a playground of several terrorist groups, and therefore they also need their strength to be beefed up to fight those terrorist groups themselves. So it is something that is good for us in that sense, and I believe that relationship with Pakistan is gone to rock bottom simply because Pakistanis have tried to cultivate the extreme elements in the country and tried to destabilize. You have seen that they have not only used their cross-border terrorism against India, but also against Afghanistan, the previous government. And when Taliban came to power, they thought the Haqqani group will control completely, and that has not really happened. And therefore, now they are having to contend with TTP and several other groups.
You know, Ambassador, if I might just step in to ask you one question before I let you go. What we're seeing on our screens previously would be unimaginable in so many ways, maybe 7 to 8 years back, right? Having the government of India speaking with a representative of Afghanistan Taliban.
You see, the Taliban is also Afghan people. So what I told you that this is, of course, politically we may have difference of opinion and difference of approaches, and India is also respects the UN Security Council resolution in which was passed when India was the president in the assembly in the UNSC at the time. So it is obviously very important. But for us, the people of Afghanistan are very important. And when they are taking steps forward towards India, and we are reciprocating in the way, we have become the first major responder as far as the humanitarian assistance is concerned, which is greatly appreciated by them. So the strength of the relationship has been there as far as the country-to-country thing is concerned. Political dispensations, sometimes they change to it. So you're right. I mean, this is a good image, and Afghanistan is an important partner for us.
So thanks for speaking to NDTV.
Thank you.
Going back to Vishnu now. Vishnu, a huge number of investments also in Afghanistan for India that it needs to safeguard.
India has very keen economic ties with Afghanistan. We have also been trying to, pursue lots of important infrastructure projects over the years. We've had a huge role in the construction of highways in Afghanistan. The Kalaram-Zaranj highway, for example, is one of them. That's something that India has done. We've contributed to factories in Afghanistan, trade with Afghanistan. The Chabahar port in Iran is ultimately meant to link up fully with Afghanistan and provide, a route into Afghanistan for trade. Apart from that, several smaller areas. India has been involved in aspects of the Afghan military by arming them with trucks and things like that, ambulances, education. All of these are critical, and of course, facilitating the movement of Afghan nationals to India for education and certainly for health is something that we've done. The joint agreement today, not agreement, but the statement by the External Affairs Ministry today says that and mentions that there is a visa regime in place which enables the movement of Afghan nationals to India in a more speedy manner, whether it's for medical reasons or whether it is for education reasons or other reasons. There's an additional flight which is now operating between Kabul and New Delhi as well. So this is a dramatically changed relationship, between India and Kabul. Fairly unthinkable a couple of years back when we were completely opposed to the Taliban in Afghanistan. But, it is the need of the hour. There are, as Ambassador Trigunath mentioned, strategic concerns that at one level those would factor in Pakistan as well. But the fact of the matter is that we've taken this relationship forward along the lines which I've spelled out.
I'm going to come back to you in a moment from now. Just summarizing what the ambassador and both Vishnu have been speaking to us about. This is a very important, a strategically important meeting between Afghanistan and India. We're now going to tell you why Afghanistan matters. Obviously crucial for regional power balance, strategic location, key hub for global interests. All of this matters given the investments that India has made in Afghanistan. It also acts as India's vital gateway to Central Asia. And that is one reason why you have India talking across the table with Afghan Taliban there. But like I said, one of the most important points there being the regional positioning of Afghanistan. Also, stable Afghanistan means a stable region, very important for India's security interests. It's also rich in natural resources like oil, gas and minerals, essential for regional cooperation across South Asia. And that is why you have India talking across the table with the Foreign Minister of Afghan Taliban, which is Amir Khan Muttaqi. Let's just listen in to both the External Affairs Minister as well as the Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Muttaqi and their opening statements.
We have had opportunities to speak to each other, once after the Pahalgam terrorist attack and the second time after the Kunar and Nangarhar earthquake. However, a meeting between us in person has a special value in allowing us to exchange perspectives, identify common interests, and forge closer cooperation. As a contiguous neighbor and a well-wisher of the Afghan people, India has a deep interest in your development and progress. Today, I reaffirm that our long-standing partnership that has seen so many Indian projects in Afghanistan stands renewed. We can discuss the maintenance and repairs of finished projects, as well as steps to complete others to which we have already committed. Excellency, we have a common commitment towards growth and prosperity. However, these are endangered by the shared threat of cross-border terrorism that both our nations face. We must coordinate efforts to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We appreciate your sensitivity towards India's security concerns. Your solidarity with us in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terrorist attack was noteworthy. India is fully committed to the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of Afghanistan. Closer cooperation between us contributes to your national development as well as regional stability and resilience. To enhance that, I am pleased to announce today the upgrading of India's technical mission in Kabul to the status of Embassy of India. India has also been a significant provider of food assistance to the Afghan people. A further consignment will be delivered in Kabul today. The plight of forcibly repatriated Afghan refugees is a matter of deep concern. Their dignity and livelihood is important. India agrees to help construct residences for them and continue providing material aid to rebuild their lives.
During the American occupation, there was many ups and downs that happened. However, throughout this time, we never gave a statement against India. Rather, we always sought good relations with India. We will not allow any group to threaten anyone else or use the territory of Afghanistan against others. India has always stood by Afghan people and has assisted them in many areas. Similarly, over the past 4 years, and particularly the recent earthquake in Kunar, India was the first country to respond in humanitarian assistance. We would like to show appreciation. Afghanistan looks at India as a close friend. Afghanistan wants relations based on mutual respect and trade and people-to-people, political trade and people-to-people relations.
Vishnu Som with me now after we have just heard those opening statements from both sides. Vishnu, let's just start with the big takeaways that you have for us from the conversations we've just heard from both sides.
The biggest takeaway is the full restoration of diplomatic ties between India and Afghanistan. India is restoring our mission in Afghanistan. It was open, but at a much lower level. It's now going to be restored to the level of full embassy. So there'll be an ambassador back over there. There'll be a deputy chief of mission, and therefore full diplomatic ties between the two countries will carry on. So that's a huge step. I do believe that the mention of terrorism emanating from Pakistan, even though the word Pakistan wasn't used, is absolutely critical. And the fact that the External Affairs Minister did mention that Afghanistan and India face a collective threat from terrorism certainly points fingers at Afghanistan, fingers at Pakistan. I should mention that, and this was mentioned by the Afghan Foreign Minister in his joint statement, in his part of the joint statement, where he said that that Afghanistan stands with India, and Afghanistan did, of course, reach out to India after the Pahalgam terror attack. The fact that we've got mention of that at all levels is very, very important. The Afghan Foreign Minister did say that India was the first to help during an earthquake in Afghanistan. We will not allow forces against India to operate. We will not allow anti-India activities, and this will open a new chapter in the relationship. This is all absolutely critical as India looks to step up our relationship with Afghanistan once again. It's been a very difficult relationship at so many levels, but one which India has invested in very, very deeply. There's a sense that we have pragmatically moved towards accepting the reality of a Taliban government in Kabul. And we want to resume trade. We want to step up visas. More flights are going in over there as well. There is the possibility of business ties being restored. But certainly the large geopolitical concerns, which I alluded to, in other words, Pakistan and terrorism, and the fact that there are forces in Pakistan which impact the border region with Afghanistan, is not lost to New Delhi. It's not lost to Afghanistan. And therefore, there is a common ground over here, which appears to be emerging.
Vishnu, what could this mean for the deteriorating Afghanistan-Pakistan ties as well? This big statement coming from the Afghan foreign minister.
I think it is a huge, you're quite right. I do believe that this is an extremely important statement. I do remember seeing a photograph of the Afghan foreign minister in Kabul a day after the previous government had collapsed. There we saw very dramatic images of the Indian mission being evacuated and then being flown back to India in harrowing conditions on board Indian Air Force aircraft. At that stage, it seemed unbelievable that the Taliban had caused the collapse of the Afghan government, which was being propped up by the United States for so many years. In fact, since 2001, 2002, when the Al-Qaeda had been defeated in Afghanistan. But that era of Afghanistan's history, which saw a restoration of full democracy in the country, a vibrant parliament, the rights of women, women political leaders, true democracy, in a sense, that all disappeared to a large extent with the Taliban coming into power. the rights of women, the status of women, and education. These have all been very active concerns. At one level, that would remain a concern of New Delhi. But I think the larger, broader geopolitical concerns and the fact that the Taliban in Afghanistan appears to be fixed and is going to be there for a period of time, if not indefinitely, is something that New Delhi recognizes. And I think as the fact that we've also said that we recognize the territorial integrity of Afghanistan and the sovereignty of Afghanistan is the clearest statement that India is going to back this government over there, besides what I mentioned earlier, which is the restoration of the full mission.
Making a statement, the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar there appreciating Afghanistan's stand on Pahalgam.
Yeah, that's right. That's so very important that this has taken place. And that statement is very important because Afghanistan was one of the first countries which is actually, sort of came to India's support and in saying that, terrorism is unacceptable, that, what took place in Pahalgam is unacceptable. In the exact statement, the exact words used by the foreign minister was that we've had opportunities to speak to each other, once after the Pahalgam terrorist attack and the second time after the Kunar and Nangarhar earthquake. However, a meeting in person has allowed a special value in allowing us to exchange perspectives, identifying common interests and forge closer cooperation. So from an Afghanistan standpoint, the fact that India was the first provider of assistance when there was an earthquake which took place is something which the foreign minister brought up. That's something that's been recognized by them. And indeed, the fact that Afghanistan has supported us after the Pahalgam terror attack is something that's worked for New Delhi, both sides working to take this relationship forward.
All right, we also former diplomat Ashok Sajjanhar joining us on the phone line. Ambassador, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. What are your big takeaways from what we've heard from both sides, Afghanistan, Taliban Afghanistan, as well as India right now as part of opening statements? We're seeing also, of course, full restoration of diplomatic ties. The Kabul embassy also, there's been a full upgrade there. Your big takeaways?
Yes, thank you very much. I think it needs to be applauded, the stand that has been taken by the Indian government. Indian government has been moving slowly but very carefully and surely towards the normalization of ties with the Taliban dispensation. You would see that the diplomatic recognition has not come in so far. But so we are being very cautious. I think we will really coordinate our position with the global community, with the international community to see where that is going, and the diplomatic recognition element will come in that. But I think this is a huge development because so far we have not been, we don't have an embassy there. We had only a technical team for distribution of our humanitarian assistance. So now it will be a regular embassy that will be established. It will be headed by a senior diplomat, charge d'affaires, and so I think this is gives us possibilities of looking at what are the areas, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, what are the areas of cooperation, whether it's education, business, medical tourism. These are all things that have been going on, have kept India and Taliban together for a long, long time. And I think, again, the salience of the Chabahar port, because you recall that when we started looking at Chabahar, it was basically to reach out, this was pre-2021, basically to reach out to Afghanistan because we were not able to get access through Pakistan. So right now, after 2021, the relevance and salience had come down a little bit because the only access that it provided us was to Central Asia. Of course, we were using Chabahar to get our wheat and some of the other commodities to Afghanistan, but that was in a very limited manner. Right now, I think with the establishment, the first meeting at track 1 level, so to say, the official level, senior ministerial level, I think it's a very welcome development and needs to be applauded. Security, of course, is also a very important issue, and I'm sure those are areas that will be discussed between the two sides.
Ambassador Vishnu here, I'm just trying to understand, does this not mean that India has entirely restored diplomatic relations with Afghanistan, which means that we accept the government of the Taliban in the country? Is there anything further that really needs to be done?
Yeah, I think we accept it. Let me put it this way, Vishnu, that de facto we recognize But de jure, the recognition, diplomatic recognition, I don't think has come in so far. That might still take some time, because I don't think in that context India wants to step out of, to be out of step with the international community. So I think that might take a little time, but for all practical purposes, I think we are there. We will be collaborating across the board with the Taliban administration. I think India has realized now Taliban has been there since August 21, so about 4-5 years. And in terms of the level of violence, the level of strife there, that has come down very significantly. The only terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, those are the ones that are operating there and against the government, the Taliban government there. So I think for all practical purposes, we are de facto, we are all there, but de jure, it might still take a little while.
But just in terms of the relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan, why is that particularly fraught now with fighting along the boundary region? In the last 24 hours, we've also seen reports of Pakistani aircraft bomb perhaps even Kabul or parts of that, or attempt to bomb. How is this the latest example of how ties between the two countries have plummeted?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has played a very important role in terms of the two countries coming together. And that is in terms of what happened in Pahalgam just a few months ago and how Afghanistan came in support of India. I think those are all building blocks to this relationship, to this partnership. And we've seen also, as far as Central Asian countries are concerned, they have been reaching out. There is very regular exchange of visits, cooperation, collaboration with them, with Iran also, Russia also. So I think the whole region has recognized that Taliban is here to stay. And so I think we accept reality, what it is. And as far as the security aspects are concerned, I'm sure we also have, we've seen these reports that Jaish, Lashkar, they are training there. And so we'll have to coordinate this with the Taliban authorities.
Ambassador Sajjana, just in terms of what I was trying to get at, is there anything left for India in terms of, saying that we recognize the Taliban? I would suggest that, in fact, nothing else is left. Why? Because if you look at point 15 of the statement made by the External Affairs Minister, it says, and I quote, India is fully committed to the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of Afghanistan. This is not their statement, it's our statement. Further to this, we've said that we are restoring our mission. So I know the technicality that you're talking about, but in light of these 2 points, would you not agree that, this is as high, really, as it goes?
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you. As I said, it is as good as it can get without, a formal diplomatic recognition of the country, because we still have, and I think very many members of the international community have that issue about getting in terms of governance, having a pluralistic governance, in terms of rights of women and girls, education, work facilities, etc., possibilities, etc. So those all issues are there, and I'm sure those will be discussed. That is particularly, I think, one of the reasons why a formal diplomatic recognition is not there. But that is why I was stressing the point that let us, there is that very thin line between de facto and de jure. De facto, we have gone the whole hog. We have gone right up to the end. And we'll do whatever, I'm sure, in addition to economic, social, people-to-people level, security issues are also going to be discussed, going to be an important element. But that having been said, that final veneer of diplomatic recognition, maybe that is still waiting and wanting.
One final question to you before we sort of go back to studio with Vedika. Let's, I think, also, Ambassador, not forget about the horror on the ground in Afghanistan. The fact that a country which was quite vibrant in terms of trying to get at democracy. We've had women politicians over there. We've had a parliamentary system which was set up partly by India, helped to fund the construction of their parliament. The Election Commission of India helped their voting process with indelible ink. I was on the ground in Afghanistan reporting all of this. In 2001, I saw the collapse of the Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. And now we are in a situation where we are recognizing the Taliban. There are no real rights for women. The education of women in Afghanistan, deeply questionable. Jobs out of the question. No role for women in politics. This is what we are supporting. This is against our pluralistic sort of ideals. And I understand the point about geopolitics, but this is a reality we can't deny either.
No, we can't ignore. I quite agree with you, and that is why I said that the diplomatic recognition has not come in as yet, because we do have concerns. We have those concerns in terms of the internal governance of Afghanistan, Vishnu. We also have our own concerns in terms of, what is happening there in terms, the weaponry that is there. Is it getting smuggled out of there into Pakistan? Because we've seen some reports that, some of the terrorists who have been there, they have been handling such weaponry that was left by the Americans in 2021. So there are a whole number of concerns that we have. And that is why we don't want to send out the signal to the global community that we are whitewashing all that and we are going ahead with our diplomatic recognition. So there is still that element that officially, in terms of action, we will do all that is there in terms of promoting, protecting, safeguarding our own interest in terms of ensuring regional stability, regional development, regional prosperity. But of course, the issues will remain, and we will continue to take them up and take them forward in our conversations with the Taliban government.
Okay, Ambassador Sajjanar, always great speaking to you. Thanks very much for being with us. Vedika.
All right, we're slipping to a short break, but we will be back with this as a top story in moments from now. Stay tuned.
अब पुराना कुछ नहीं बचेगा। फ्लिपकार्ट बिग बैंग दिवाली।
वॉल्यूम कम करेंगे? आपका पार्सल फिर से हमारे घर पे आया है।
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में।
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी, ये आपके लिए।
मैंने कहा था कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में।
P-Mark, the mustard specialist since 1933.
सरसों से सरसों।
What does the youth of Bihar want in this election? I will dissect and explain.
When it comes to elections, I crunch numbers and tell you what others miss.
Bihar elections, the what, why and how.
I read Bihar politics like no one else.
For over 4 decades now, I have had a ringside view of some of India's biggest elections. This time, I will bring to you the twists and turns of Bihar elections.
Understand the real election dynamics in Bihar with me on Bihar Battleground.
The ultimate battle for Bihar. NDTV unites the biggest voices, unmissable debates and data discourse. Battleground Bihar on NDTV 24/7.
Rajasthan is history, culture and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years. Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict
to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. And now, Aditya Raj Kaul begins a new chapter at NDTV.
Actually, I'm taking off because the stories I cover don't sit still. To bring the world to India and to take India to the world, I need to be where action is.
Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else.
You're watching Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood, on a day that there has been huge breaking news emerging from the opening statements made by India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and the Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Muttaqi. At this point, this is our top story. Vishnu Som will join us in a moment from now, breaking down what these statements really mean and more about the story in moments from now. But a quick check on the headlines at the top of 1 p.m. India upgrades its mission in Afghanistan. This as the Afghanistan Foreign Minister vows that they won't allow any anti-India activity in India. Kerala High Court gives interim order on Sabrimala gold heist, finds Devaswam Board's action suspicious. Court orders SIT to submit its final report in the next 6 weeks. NDTV exposes major lapse in monitoring Tamil Nadu drugs manufacturing units. CAG had flagged shortfall in Tamil Nadu drugs tests last year, warnings that were seemingly ignored by the state government. Sources indicate Chirag Paswan is not satisfied with the seat-sharing arrangement and talks and the seat-sharing offers made by the NDA. Paswan, we believe, wants at least 40 seats. Enforcement Directorate heat on Bengal Minister Sujit Bose. ED conducts raids at least 8 locations across Kolkata. And all eyes on the Nobel Peace Prize announcement today. Donald Trump takes a jibe at former US President Obama, says he was awarded for doing just about nothing. And a top story, a big India-Afghanistan reset. Afghanistan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi is on a 6-day visit to India. A short while ago, he met with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. The big announcements made by the both of them, of course, first, the Indian embassy, which was shut for 4 years, will now be reopened. Also, you have Afghanistan coming out and saying that their soil will not be used for anti-India activities. A lot more said. Listen in to both S. Jaishankar and the Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister.
We have had opportunities to speak to each other, once after the Pahalgam terrorist attack and the second time after the Kunar and Nangarhar earthquake. However, a meeting between us in person has a special value in allowing us to exchange perspectives, identify common interests, and forge closer cooperation. As a contiguous neighbor and a well-wisher of the Afghan people, India has a deep interest in your development and progress. Today, I reaffirm that our long-standing partnership that has seen so many Indian projects in Afghanistan stands renewed. We can discuss the maintenance and repairs of finished projects, as well as steps to complete others to which we have already committed. Excellency, we have a common commitment towards growth and prosperity. However, these are endangered by the shared threat of cross-border terrorism that both our nations face. We must coordinate efforts to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We appreciate your sensitivity towards India's security concerns. Your solidarity with us in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terrorist attack was noteworthy. India is fully committed to the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of Afghanistan. Closer cooperation between us contributes to your national development as well as regional stability and resilience. To enhance that, I am pleased to announce today the upgrading of India's technical mission in Kabul to the status of Embassy of India. India has also been a significant provider of food assistance to the Afghan people. A further consignment will be delivered in Kabul today. The plight of forcibly repatriated Afghan refugees is a matter of deep concern. Their dignity and livelihood is important. India agrees to help construct residences for them and continue providing material aid to rebuild their lives.
During the American occupation, there was many ups and downs that happened. However, throughout this time, we never gave a statement against India. Rather, we always sought good relations with India. We will not allow any group to threaten anyone else or use the territory of Afghanistan against others. India has always stood by Afghan people and has assisted them in many areas. Similarly, over the past 4 years, and particularly the recent earthquake in Kunar, India was the first country to respond in humanitarian assistance. And we would like to show appreciation. Afghanistan looks at India as a close friend. Afghanistan wants relations based on mutual respect and trade and people-to-people, political trade and people-to-people relations.
Vishnu Som, Senior Managing Editor, still with us. Vishnu, India to reopen the embassy in Kabul, can this be termed as a reset of ties or just a huge push, a huge boost to the existing strategic ties between the two countries?
Both, but I think what I just went through, I just heard what Dr. Jaishankar had to say, and I found one other part, Vedika, quite interesting. He said, and I quote, "As a contiguous neighbor and a well-wisher of the Afghan people, India has a deep interest in your development and progress." As a contiguous, if you look up the meaning of contiguous, it means that you are touching. Now, the only place where India and Afghanistan are touching are at the cusp of POK through something called the Wakhan Corridor. So this is, I think, another very clear statement to Pakistan that, look, POK is India and that India is touching Afghanistan to POK through POK, which of course is Indian. And so, we are neighbors because we are contiguous. We are sort of attached in a sense to one another. And that is at one level a premise for the equation. But I do believe besides that, the fact that you've got a full restoration of the diplomatic relationship between India and Afghanistan is significant. You've had the mission operating over there at a lower level after the ambassador and others were evacuated a couple of years back. That's being restored to a full mission. India has said, and very significantly, that we respect and recognize the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Afghanistan. So therefore, for all practical purposes, this is a full-fledged diplomatic recognition. And of course, the large amount of what India spoke about, our External Affairs Minister, had to do with the fact that we've got very deep economic ties, historical ties, cultural ties. There is a greater facilitation of visas for Afghans looking to come over here for education or come over here for trade or come over here for health, because that's a big factor as well. India wants to continue investing in Afghan cricket, and Afghan cricketers are a champion side. They've trained over here in Greater Noida in a stadium as well in the past.
Yes.
Ajay Jadeja has been one of their coaches in the past, and they are now a world-beating side. I dare say if we help them too much, they might end up beating India. But be that as it may, it is a huge reset for the relationship. But one final point over here, Vedika, I think we need to keep in mind and never be insensitive to the fact that this is a new Afghanistan. It's a Taliban Afghanistan. The fact of the matter is that the education of women has disappeared.
Yes.
The diplomatic or the political premise of Afghanistan doesn't include women, human rights, different level altogether. And these are things that India has fought for. We've championed democracy in that country. Today we are engaging the Afghan Taliban. Now that may be pragmatic and important in the context of Pakistan, but let's not forget about the premise of our democracy and indeed of our foreign policy.
You know, Vishnu, Russia, if I'm not mistaken, is the only country that formally has recognized the Taliban government till now. Now, seeing what we have in terms of the opening statements from across the table by the External Affairs Minister and the Afghanistan representative, how would you define the strategic relationship between the two countries as of now?
I think there is a huge, huge battle, and this has been a historic battle for geostrategic presence in Afghanistan. We've seen the Soviets do that in the 70s. They were pushed out by the Afghans. We've seen the Americans try and do that in the 2000s, and they were pushed out by factions over there. We've seen the Chinese attempt to do this now by setting up a very, very deep trade links or attempt to do that. We've seen Pakistan all along have a stake in Afghanistan, perhaps the biggest stake of all of these countries in a sense. And so there's been a jostling for power among all countries in the region. Some have been allied to others, some have not been allied to others. But the fact that that relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan appears to be suffering right now is something that New Delhi has to be alert to, has to be aware of. There is something called geostrategic encirclement. The fact that you've got India and Afghanistan talking about how terrorism is a common threat, and without naming Pakistan, but obviously it comes from that. The fact that you've had the Afghans reaching out to us after the Pahalgam terror attack, the fact that you've had Pakistani fighter aircraft attack Afghanistan today brings Afghanistan and India that much closer. And so you mentioned Russia, but it's not just Russia, it's the Americans, it's us, it's Pakistan, all trying to ensure that we have a presence in the geographical territory of Afghanistan.
And that brings me to my next question, Vishnu. Pakistan is, of course, going to be watching these developments very closely, especially those strong opening statements from both countries at this point, given the rising tensions between Afghanistan and Pakistan and the deteriorating relationship between the two countries.
Well, absolutely. I think Pakistan would be looking at this very, very closely indeed. But Pakistan is playing an entirely different game altogether. They appear to be much closer to America than they've been in years. You've seen very senior American generals actually say that Pakistan is a key partner for the United States in the fight against terrorist groups such as the ISIS-K, the ISIS Khorasan. And of course, India has our own set of concerns about terrorism arising from Afghanistan and from Pakistan, I should mention. So in as much as Pakistan would be wary of these remarks made by India, by Afghanistan here in New Delhi, and the impact it would possibly have on their relationship with Afghanistan. The fact of the matter is that Pakistan is playing a different game right now, one where they see themselves perhaps being closer to America than they've been in a long time. And certainly China is a close ally of theirs. China has a big presence in Afghanistan as well. So as I mentioned, geopolitics being played out at multiple levels.
Vishnu, do stay with me. I also have Aditya Rajkol joining me live from the newsroom. Aditya, these opening statements, extremely symbolic, extremely significant, also coming on a day when we've seen cross-border airstrike and the tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan escalating.
Well, definitely, Vedika. This is a big strategic push and a big strategic shift between New Delhi and Kabul. Many had expected this to happen, but for Pakistan, this is a big blow. It's a diplomatic blow. It's a geopolitical strategic blow for Islamabad. It comes at a time, as you rightly pointed out, when airstrikes happened from, Pakistan Army towards Kabul last night. They failed completely, miserably failed, because they wanted to divert attention towards something different. They wanted to convey a message to New Delhi and Kabul. But instead what has happened is that India and Afghanistan have come closer. India and Taliban have come closer. Pakistan certainly wouldn't have thought of this and dreamt of this in 2021 in August. But this has certainly happened. Not just this, but India also upgrading its mission from a technical standpoint to an embassy of India in Kabul. It's a big, huge development. And there are several critical players who have made this happen. One, of course, is S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, NSA Ajit Doval, and of course, the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. But one diplomat that has played a very critical role in this entire exercise is JP Singh, who was the JS spy and also heading the office of Dr. S. Jaishankar, but also has been somebody who has been trying to broker the conversation with the Taliban for last several years. He's a Pakistan and Afghanistan expert, currently an ambassador to Israel. But certainly This is a major development. India also increasing its humanitarian aid towards Afghanistan, and the visa regime is being relaxed as well. These were the two major concerns that Muttaqi, the acting foreign minister of Afghanistan, really had, that the visas need to be strengthened. There need to be more Afghan people that need to come to Indian universities, apart from the medical aid that they receive in Indian hospitals. So that needs to be relaxed. In 2021, there was a blanket ban almost on the Afghan citizens because of the security concerns that were there. And of course, the praise that's coming in from Muttaqi, the Afghan foreign minister, towards India. Traditionally and historically, the Afghan people and the Indian people have enjoyed a very robust conversation, a very good conversation and relationship between these two countries. So we'll have to wait and watch how Pakistan tries to revert to this, because at this moment we are being told that the DGISPR of the Pakistan Army will be holding a briefing in 2 hours from now from the Peshawar Corps headquarters, where he would be speaking about the strikes that have happened. But really, those strikes really not making the headlines. The headline today is the India-Afghanistan push, the big power push and the diplomatic push between these two countries. Strategically, it will be very significant and important how these two countries come together. Remember, one last point, Vedika, that when Taliban took over Kabul on 15th of August 2021, Pakistan really wanted Taliban to function as its B team. India hasn't made that happen. India has given respect, India has given pride, and India has given the kind of status that Taliban really wanted and now enjoy. So the conversation and the diplomacy between India and Afghanistan will only grow from here.
You know, that handshake is so symbolic, Aditya, for so many reasons that you and I and Vishnu have been discussing. You had S. Jaishankar come out and thank the Afghan Taliban representative there for their stand on Pahalgam, after which you had the foreign minister of Afghanistan also assure that no anti-India activities, terror activities will be allowed from Afghan soil. Veiled references to Pakistan, would you say?
Well, absolutely. Indirect references to Pakistan. In fact, earlier this year, when there was a conversation in January, we had Vikram Misri meeting the Taliban representative in Dubai, and thereafter there was a phone call between Muttaqi and Jaishankar. So there is a lot of diplomacy, a lot of hard work that has gone into this day over the last many months and perhaps the last 4 to 5 years. So clearly at this particular time, a very strong message being conveyed from New Delhi by both India and Afghanistan to Pakistan that terrorism will not be tolerated, especially terror groups operating from Afghanistan soil against India and Afghanistan will certainly not be tolerated, because for a long time Pakistan has been giving a safe sanctuary and a safe haven to terror groups like the Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen. That will not be tolerated. What happened last night at around 9:50 p.m. local time in Kabul were multiple airstrikes that happened. In fact, I spoke to the Taliban spokesperson and current ambassador to Qatar, Suhail Shaheen, who confirmed to NDTV that 2 explosions were heard, but there were no casualties. So a big moment in the relationship between India and Afghanistan, a big diplomatic coup, I would say, between Kabul and New Delhi.
Well, the only constant in geopolitics is change. Vishnu and Aditya, thanks for joining me there on that very big story that we've been reporting here on Breaking Ground for the last 1 hour. We, of course, will bring you all the reactions from India and from experts on this very big story. Shifting focus now to the state of Bihar, Chirag Paswan and the BJP, we're being told, have reached a seat-sharing arrangement. According to sources, LJP is likely to get 25 seats, and sources also telling NDTV that LJP is to get prominent and plump posts in Bihar as well as the centre. Aishwarya now joins me live to break that down for us. Aishwarya, you and I spoke at the top of 12 noon where we were talking about Chirag Paswan being extremely tight-lipped. He's not going to be happy with 25 seats. Is this some sort of negotiation to say, okay, you take your 25 seats in Bihar and we'll give you plump posts at the centre as well? Will he be happy with that?
Paswan already a union minister and a cabinet rank minister, in fact, in the Modi government. Certainly whether his ministry will be changed in the upcoming future is something that would be decided by the central government. But an assurance has been given that he would be respected. Remember, Chirag Paswan in his earlier statement stated that wherever Prime Minister is, he is being respected at every front. And now the sources clearly indicating that after that particular meeting between Nityanand Rai and Chirag Paswan at his residence, a consensus has been made as far as seat sharing is concerned. LJP likely to get 25 to 26 seats. A formula of 23 plus 2 plus 1 was something that the sources have also indicated to us, that 23 seats that LJP can get, 2 MLC plus 1 Rajya Sabha. Whether that is one of the formula or he would be contesting, his party would be contesting from 25 seats is something that remains to be seen. But one very important point that also had been stated by our sources, that Bihari first vision would be prominently put in all these seats. Chirag Paswan would be contesting. The major also point that Chirag Paswan has been raising is, of course, of the quality of the selection of seats, the kind of campaigning that he wanted specifically from the Prime Minister on whether on whosoever the seats that LJP Ramvilas will get, and certainly all the minute details have been sorted out. So yes, a consensus have been drawn. Now we all are waiting for that final announcement to be made as far as NDA seat sharing is concerned.
All right, that's the big breaking news coming in. Aishwarya filling us in on the details there, but according to sources, that deal between Paswan and the NDA has been sealed. More breaking news coming in, this time from South. Tamil Nadu Health Secretary has spoken to NDTV on the CAG flagging less inspections and drug sample collection in the state of Tamil Nadu. The Health Secretary of the state has asked EPS to respond to the CAG findings on shortfall in inspections and sample collections between the years 2016 and 2021. The central drug inspectors too had failed, remember, to conduct mandatory inspections every 3 years at this Tamil Nadu plant, where the cough syrup has turned out to be spurious. Sam Daniel now joins me live. Sam, just take us through the details you have for us on this, of the Tamil Nadu Health Secretary speaking to you on this big breaking news.
A day after CAG details became public that there were severe shortfall in terms of inspections and in terms of collection of drug samples by authorities in Tamil Nadu between the years 2016 and 2021, to the extent of 40% in the case of inspections and 54% in the case of drug samples collection. The Tamil Nadu Health Minister has blamed it on the then ruling AIADMK to respond. In this case, Mr. EPS, who was the Chief Minister then. But for a specific question whether the Tamil Nadu government, now the ruling DMK, had failed to act on the flagging by CAG last year, the Minister and the Health Secretary say action was taken, but they concede lapses over the last 2 years in terms of no inspections done at this particular plant. The cough syrup which were made there has now led to the death of at least 20 children in Madhya Pradesh. And this is what Dr. Senthil Kumar, the Health Secretary, had to tell me. Did the government fail to learn lessons after the CAG reports, sir?
It is periodically inspections are being done. So in 2021 and 2022, inspection has been done by the state drug authorities on this firm, and follow-up action including penalty have been levied on this. So the last 2 years there was lapse, and for which action has been taken on the...
This was flagged by CAG report last year.
Yeah.
Didn't we learn lessons and intensify?
Government has been conducting periodic inspections and taking follow-up action. Other places, intensive inspections have been already ordered, and they are already doing them.
What specific violations have come to light, sir, from this plant, recent plant?
A number of violations have been reported, and follow-up criminal action has...
Around 300? Around 300? Shortage of inspectors a problem, sir? Shortage of inspectors?
No. Recently, government has also recruited almost 90 drug inspectors for the drug report.
And in related news, both from Madhya Pradesh as well as Rajasthan, NDTV has accessed the CAG reports on this matter. In an important report table in the Madhya Pradesh Assembly on the 18th of December last year, the CAG had highlighted the mismanagement of important drugstores in Chhindwara district. That's where, viewers remember, 20 children have lost their lives. The report specifically said that the physical verification of the stores was not being carried out even once in Chhindwara Institute of Medical Sciences during 2018 and 2022. Now moving to Rajasthan, the Rajasthan CAG report, as per the report of 2016 to 2022, has also stated, especially in the year 21 to 22, that drug controllers should have done 21,840 inspections, but they only managed about 16,748 inspections, which is a shortfall of close to 5,000 inspections. Joining me live, Harsha joining me from Rajasthan at this point, from Jaipur, and Anurag joining me live from Bhopal. Harsha, coming to you first, lapses and more lapses indicated by the CAG. This was a complete disaster in terms of an issue that could have been corrected before the deaths of these children, especially in Chhindwara.
Well, in Rajasthan, definitely we have said that about 4 children is the figure that we have, which the government is refusing to accept, have died due to dextromethorphan hydrobromide. Now, ironically, dextromethorphan hydrobromide has actually been cleared by the lab tests. But I think what the CAG report is doing is raising a larger question about the way the health infrastructure works. The health infrastructure is clearly overburdened and not able to cope with the kind of work that it should be doing. So if you look at specifically at the audits that the drug inspectors should have been doing, there is a 23% shortfall here. And if I just wanted to make sense to these tables, if you just connect it to tribal areas and to districts, to tribal areas especially, and to districts where, I'm just looking at that figure, to tribal areas and districts where the health infrastructure is even more crumbling. Now, if you look at Banswara, there's a 67% shortfall in the number of inspections that should have happened. So that means even half the inspections that should be happening did not happen. Now, remember, in Banswara, we reported 8 children who had not died, I beg your pardon, but who had fallen sick because they took dextromethorphan hydrobromide. Now, the problem is that pharmacists don't know that you shouldn't be giving it to children more younger than 2 years, in fact younger than 5 years. So now the government is training health workers, now the government is sensitizing pharmacists. The problem is this CAG report should be looked upon as a report that points to the larger problem of the crumbling health infrastructure.
Absolutely, and the lapses really. And I'm going to take that point to Anurag as well. Anurag, a part of that report that you have sent to us also talks about how specifically in Chhindwara inspections were not carried out. Can you elaborate on that? That's so important given the deaths that we've seen, the maximum number of deaths due to this cough syrup from Chhindwara.
See, we have only 80 drug inspectors for the entire state of Madhya Pradesh and only 3 labs for the testing of drugs. So if you go by the figures, we have a total capacity of, testing 6,000 samples in a year, and the pendency is 5,500. So, so far they have taken 19 samples of the recently, seized Cold Riff and Nextron DS. So it will take another 14 months just to test these, samples which were seized from Chhindwara and adjoining areas. If you go by the CAG report that was tabled in the Madhya Pradesh Assembly, which says not only in, cough syrups like Cold Riff, but you can just imagine the poor health infrastructure and the mechanism here which is working in Madhya Pradesh, because CAG's report reveals that Madhya Pradesh Public Health Service Corporation continued to purchase and distribute, this was in the government hospitals by the way, that were explicitly banned by the government of India for human use, putting human health at serious risk. Between 2017 and 2022, the corporation entered into rate contracts worth rupees 1.5 CR and for procuring these banned drugs by the government of India, and 29 lakh through local tenders at the district levels, bringing the total value of prohibited drugs purchased to close to 2 crores. And the CAG has also warned that reckless procurement of banned drugs violates national drug laws and endangers millions who depends on the public health care for safe and affordable medication. So this is the status of public health and the drug distribution inside the government hospitals, flagged by none other than the CAG.
Issue flagged by the CAG, lapses still happening. Who is going to be held accountable remains the big question. We've had 24 deaths due to this cough syrup. Harsha, thank you for joining us along with Anurag from Bhopal there. We will keep coming back to you for more, but key insights there by both our reporters on this very big story. Slipping to a short break, news and updates in moments from now. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, I'm Shruti and I'm so excited to be here at Soundscape with Mr. A.R. Rahman and NDTV Good Time. If you're saying English is your first language of comfort, how did you navigate that?
Classic example is telephone Manipol Siri. Manipol Siri Pavel means like the girl who laughs like a bell. So in Hindi, telephone dhun mein hasne wala, it became like a laughing stock. Then I started doing more Hindi-oriented movies which are not dubbed in Tamil. My father was extraordinary and he died. It was a very dark time of us. Then I realized the kind of things he had left me. Synthesizer, keyboard, rhythm machines. Imagine.
This was his?
Yeah, these are my toys.
A.R. Rahman Harmony by the Ganga, which NDTV Good Times has put together as experience.
It's not just one religion. I think Varanasi, if you know Bismillah Khan Sahib, his contribution all around the world, people know where he is from, Banaras. Hopefully, I think this will be the peace concert which people want.
अब पुराना कुछ नहीं बचेगा। फ्लिपकार्ट बिग बैंग दिवाली।
वॉल्यूम कम करेंगे? आपका पार्सल फिर से हमारे घर पे आया है।
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में।
माँ भी हमेशा पीमाक मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी, ये आपके लिए।
मैंने कहा था कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में। PMark, the mustard specialist since 1933.
बरसों से सरसों।
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind, I pause, I reflect, I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
Hi everyone, I'm Shruti and I'm so excited to be here at Soundscape with Mr. A.R. Rahman and NDTV Good Time. If you're saying English is your first language of comfort, how did you navigate that?
Classic example is telephone Manipol Siri. Manipol Siri Pavel means like the girl who laughs like a bell. So in Hindi, telephone dhun mein hasne wala, it became like a laughing stock. Then I started doing more Hindi-oriented movies which are not dubbed in Tamil. My father was extraordinary and he died. It was a very dark time of us. Then I realized the kind of things he had left me. Synthesizer, keyboard, rhythm machines. Imagine.
This was his?
Yeah, these are my toys.
A.R. Rahman Harmony by the Ganga, which NDTV Good Times has put together as experience.
It's not just one religion. I think Varanasi, if you know Bismillah Khan Sahib, his contribution all around the world, people know where he is from, Banaras. Hopefully, I think this will be the peace concert which people want.
अब पुराना कुछ नहीं बचेगा। फ्लिपकार्ट बिग बैंग दिवाली।
The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break. Live. Unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Center.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area. North Ukraine. In France. In Italy. At Srinagar. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV. A story of change. A path to renewal. A leader reimagining her nation's future.
This will be my first official visit to India as the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Looking forward to participating in the NDTV World Summit, where I will have the opportunity to engage with global leaders and thinkers.
Catch Sri Lankan Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya at the NDTV World Summit 2025, 17th to 18th October on the NDTV network.
The best app to use is the NDTV.
Note 60 Pro, most stunning true color pro grade camera. Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Just coming in from Kerala, this is to do with the Sabrimala gold theft controversy. The BJP has stepped up its protests. This time, they are protesting in Wayanad. They're keeping the pressure on the Kerala government. This comes on a day when the Kerala High Court has given an interim order on the Sabrimala gold heist and has also asked for a report within the next 6 weeks. I have Ashwin joining me live. Ashwin, BJP stepping up the pressure on the Kerala government.
Vedika, today the BJP State Secretaries, MT Ramesh is heading the protest in Wayanad and S. Suresh is heading the protest in Pathanamthitta. And in fact, large number of people, including women BJP activists, have gathered protesting outside the civil station in the respective districts, and around 200 to 300 Karyakartas of the BJP have gathered, raising their demand yet again for the resignation of Devasam Minister and to ensure that the probe is fair, that it must be handed over to the CBI, and to also make it public, make all the documents of the Travancore Devasam board public. So there is a concerted protest that is ongoing. Remember, it was on 8th when the BJP state president Rajiv Chandrasekhar called on for a continuous protest on this, and today is the third day. We see two protests that is happening in Pathanamthitta district as well as in Wayanad. Yesterday there was this protest that was taken out by the former state president K. Surendran in Kozhikode, where police had to resort to also water cannons at the protesters. And today this protest is continuing at two districts in Kerala, and large number of people are gathering in support of the BJP in these districts. Back to you, Vedika.
Peace stepping up protests, day 3 of protests, this time in Wayanad in Kerala. Moving on, Bollywood actor Saif Ali Khan has spoken out publicly for the first time about the night he was stabbed during a violent home invasion earlier this year, recalling the moment his son asked if he was going to die. The incident took place in the early hours of 16 January in the family's apartment in Bandra, which is in a suburb in Mumbai, where Saif Ali Khan got into a physical altercation with a home intruder who stabbed the actor multiple times. Saif made the revelation on Kajol and Twinkle Khanna's new talk show for Amazon Prime called Too Much.
Well, we had just gone to sleep and Karina had been out and I had finished watching a movie with the boys and they'd gone to sleep and everything. And it's actually quite late. It was late at 2 o'clock or something in the morning. And Karina came back, we had a small chat. And then, went to sleep. And then the maid came in and she said, "Jay Baba ke kamre mein koi hai, uske haath mein chaku hai, wo bola paisa chahiye."
Oh my God.
So I kind of just heard that and rolled out of bed and I barged into Jay's room and in the dark and I saw this guy standing over his bed with a knife. And then
But he was not pointing at him also?
No, but he touched him. He had cut him later because the nurse was trying to talk to him. Jay, in the arm slightly. He got a little nick here and the sister got a nick on her hand. He was kind of poking a knife at them. And I kind of walked in and I saw this guy and I thought he's smaller than me, which means he's not very large. And I jumped on him. And of course, Jay later told me it's a big mistake. You should have punched him or kicked him or something. But I jumped and we started this fight. And then he went mad. He had these 2 knives. And he just started slashing all over at me. And I tried to remember my training and I blocked a couple here and then. And then I felt this thump in my back that was really hard. And then we started fighting and rolling and the kids were out and everyone was out of the room. And Geeta helped me in this struggle and so pushed this guy off me.
Oh, well done.
And pretty much saved, I think, my life at that point because he had cut me everywhere, in my neck and back. There's blood everywhere.
Today is World Mental Health Day and we bring you a special conversation. In India, nearly 15% of adults live with mental health disorders, yet less than 1% of the country's GDP is allocated to mental health. On World Mental Health Day, NDTV speaks with Neerja Birla, chairperson of the Aditya Birla Education Trust's flagship mental health initiative, who emphasizes that prioritizing mental well-being is essential for building a healthier, happier India. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 15% of adults in India experience some form of mental health disorder. Yet more than 70% of those affected do not receive any form of treatment. India accounts for nearly 20% of global suicides. Economic burden studies estimate that mental health conditions cost the Indian economy nearly $150 billion per year due to lost productivity and absenteeism, impacting businesses and society. As we observe World Mental Health Day, it is crucial to shine light on the importance of mental well-being, especially in today's fast-paced world. We have with us a leading advocate for mental health awareness. Joining me today is Neerja Birla, founder and chairperson, Empower and Aditya Birla Education Trust. Neerja, it's really a pleasure to have you with us. As we've seen that mental health is a huge concern in our country, what is the most pressing concern today?
So yes, lovely to be on this channel, Ambika, as always. I think mental health is usually stigmatized. There is a lot of ground that we have covered. The needle is definitely moving, but that's just a drop in the ocean. There's lots that needs to be done. And especially looking at all the suicides, it's very alarming and it's very sad. And I think, of course, it is a hesitation to speak about mental health, but more than that, it's a fear. I think people are generally very fearful of talking about it. And, that could be because they feel they're not going to be understood, they don't have a support system. In a lot of places, whether it's corporates or whether it's schools, at colleges, universities, I think the fear is that, are they going to be sort of reprimanded for it? So when they're coming from a place of fear, they don't want to talk about it.
Sure.
And unfortunately, mental health is not measurable. It's not something that you can see. It's only the person who's going through it would know that she's going through it. And then that makes it even more difficult and even more isolated. So I think, if we're able to create safe spaces, if we're able to create support systems, I think that will make it easier for everyone to access the mental health care that is available. Because even there is a huge gap. There is a lack of professionals. But even if that is existing, people often are scared to seek help. So if we're able to change that narrative and create safe spaces, more collaborative spaces, and sort of a more more sort of nurturing support system, I think people will also want to seek help and access the mental health care that's available.
You know what you rightly said, giving the support. But again, a huge gap where we see is in treatment. In fact, there's a data which says 70 to 92% of individuals with mental disorders are not receiving the adequate care which they should be getting. Now, how do we bridge this gap? One is about knowing that you have an issue or seeking help, like you rightly said, that environment, nurture that, but also the ones who require the treatments. Mostly people aren't getting the required treatment.
So I think a very big sort of way forward would be to institutionalize mental health. I think if we're able to do it across sectors and across different sort of operation systems, whether it is schools, colleges, communities, if we're able to institutionalize it, I think that will make it easier to access it. And like I was saying, because it's invisible, if we are able to embed a concept of screening, where actually everyone can be screened, which is what we started doing in our Samvedna project in Maharashtra, is that we would screen people when they would just go to the rural district hospital. And from that, we could tell that people are susceptible to it, or if somebody needs mental health care, and then direct them, refer them to the district hospital. So in that way, we're also, also providing literacy programs so that we can collaboratively work with the district mental health program, because the help is there. I mean, in a lot of places a lot of places it is missing, but if we're at least able to increase the literacy, they will at least avail of the service that is available. So I think, and if we're able to then empower the communities with these resources and make it stigma-free, that will also really encourage people to seek help. I think the whole thing is on how do we encourage people to seek help, because in a lot of times the suicides that we see, the young children are just scared to seek help. And so the whole narrative is, how do we encourage that? How do we promote that it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay not to seek help?
So I think, again, making them comfortable to actually reach out for help. That's important. Like you rightly said, screening. First is awareness, screening, realizing there is a problem, reaching out, and that's where the gap comes. So even if they know there's a problem, there is a gap in the treatment.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing where I really do believe we can help bridge the treatment gap is the use of AI. Not to replace the humans, because I don't believe that AI can replace counseling or the human connect. But at least by creating a level of the first level, the initial level, so that that in itself can be a screening of sorts, and then go in for more critical care as and when
maybe
needed.
A person feels, like you said, human touch is extremely important, but reaching out maybe to somebody who's not going to judge you, maybe an easier way to break the discomfort which people have initially. You were telling us about what you're doing with the program on ground, and Empower, you've been doing this for 10 years, obviously, and the kind of work which you're doing on ground. You spoke about institutionalization. I want to ask you a little bit on that. Do you think that really is the solution to reach out to the masses?
Oh, absolutely. So, for example, we're working with the CISF, and that's exactly what we've done. CISF has has been very visionary and has taken on board mental health as a very serious mandate for them. And because they've institutionalized it, it's made a huge difference. We've seen the suicide rate come down dramatically in CISF. They've made screening mandatory. They've put their personnel through mental health literacy programs. So they're trying to create safe spaces, they're creating awareness. And then that also helps people at the ground level to actually seek help. Because when they know that their peers and their seniors are all talking about it and that it's okay to seek help, they're very open and very readily seeking help. So institutionalizing is I definitely believe is the way to scale.
And like you rightly said, I think normalizing the conversation. If they're seeing their seniors doing it, their peers doing it, so then it's a normal conversation, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
India, we are the youngest country looking at our youth, but unfortunately 40% of young people in our country report stress, anxiety, and it's linked to whether it's academic pressure, it's peer pressure, social media presence, social isolation. How do you think we can better support young people in our country? You spoke about suicide when it comes to the youth, not just academic, but there's so much out there. I think that's something which we really need to talk about, because being the youngest country.
So I'd like, like in your question when you were even saying about academic pressure. So I guess, reducing the academic pressure, of course, is one way, but I also believe that it's important to build resilience in our youth, to sort of make them prepared for the new world that they are growing up in. We grew up in a very different world, and the youth is growing up in a very different world.
Yeah, the pressures are different.
The pressures are totally different. It's far more complicated. Social media, yes, has its advantages, but also has its disadvantages. So I think how do we build resilience in our children, in our youth, is I think the way we as parents and the older generation can guide them. Creating safe spaces. Like we started an initiative called the Human Library, and which is really doing well. So we sort of get together. It's like, I mean, each person is like a book, and we're providing them the safe space to speak about their journey, to speak about their challenges. So it's of course very cathartic for the person, but it's very therapeutic for everybody else also listening, because then they also realize that they're not alone, they're not so isolated. Because I do believe loneliness is one of the biggest factors, I think, in this day and age. It's quite ironical because social media has really connected everybody.
But somewhere you're lonely.
You're also very lonely. So it's, quite dichotomous in that sense. But creating safe spaces, providing them places where they know they're not going to be judged. So that again, they're able to seek help. I keep going back to seeking help because I do believe that that is really the crux of, being able to resolve this problem, and giving them awareness earlier on, like having preventive programs. So like say screening, for example, having mental health literacy in schools, so that very early on they have the right coping mechanisms, we're able to build resilience, and we're also able to normalize conversation so that they, or if anybody else is going through an issue, it's not going to be stigmatized. It's not something so taboo. It's not taboo that they can't speak about it.
Pooja, you spoke about stigma. I know we've been talking about mental health for a while, but we still somewhere mental health is connected to stigma. You've been working on ground for so long. Tell me, what would you suggest or strategies you would like to tell us which are proven well and effective in changing public attitudes? Because stigma again is related to what people think or the perspective. What do you think will work?
So stigma is deeply rooted to people's perceptions. Like when we started, for example, the whole perception about mental health was so much in the dark that people were not even willing to come for any kind of meetings or like even press meetings because it was just not known. When we used to approach corporates for workshops, they used to tell us you need to change the word mental well-being. They don't even want the word mental. So it's so much to do with perception, and I think along the way we've been doing a lot of activations in order to increase that awareness, and that could be like we had a big music program. So music is a great leveler also and a great way to get people together because everybody's spending their time for that common cause. It's a great platform to get people of different ages together. So whether it's a music program, we've even done, for a couple of years we did a cycle ride, like a cyclothon. Again, it's a great platform to get people together. So mass media campaigns. Any sort of forums which connects different people, different stakeholders, whether it's women, men. So for women, for example, if it's perimenopause, that's, I've been talking about that because even mental health has such a huge relevance in that.
The mood swings, anxiety.
Exactly, the low mood. So again, creating a forum for that. So trying to create that peer network, that support system. So, these are different ways that we've been trying to do, that we've been doing to get
the stigma,
people,
I think, somewhere.
To break the stigma, to get more conversation going, to normalize the conversation, and I think get people to realize more and more the impact of mental health.
Yeah, and like you rightly said, I mean, perimenopause, of course, being in that age or whatever, we're talking about it today, but in every sphere, whether it's teenagers growing up, so giving them that safe space, what you had said earlier as well. But lastly, when we, Nija, look at Viksit Bharat 2047, the Honorable Prime Minister has spoken about it. When it comes to mental health, when less than 1% of the GDP is being spent on it, how long do you think the journey is? When will we really reach there? And how can we reach there with looking at amount of money being really spent on mental health?
Yeah, so clearly, if you do the math, we definitely need far more funding in mental health. It is very less, and it's just a drop in the ocean. And if we need to reach the goal, which we have to and we must, be on that journey and reach that goal, then the way would be to really uplift the youth. And mental well-being, I believe, is the fabric that really goes through it all. So till we don't address the mental health of the youth, that goal is, far. So we have to do that in order to reach that goal. And definitely we have to pump in more money. It definitely needs more funding. It's very, very under-deserved.
Yeah.
And and also work more with the government, have far more partnerships with them. Have more projects to scale up. There's a lot that one can do, and just need all stakeholders to come on board for that, because we can do what we want to do, but till the mental health and mental well-being of the youth is not in the right place, how are we going to see a more productive nation?
Because the youth really is our future. They're going to be, when we look at 2047, they really are going to be the future at that point. And collaboration, stakeholders, talking about it, I think these are the most important things. Awareness, screening, I think you said all that. We really need to look at mental health as a whole, I feel, really to bring about a difference towards a happier nation. I think productivity, of course, but happier nation.
Yes,
Thank you so much, Neerja. It's really been a pleasure to have you with us on NDTV on World Mental Health Day.
Thank you so much, Amika. Pleasure to be here.
Break the stigma, normalize conversations and empathize. We leave it at that. Up next is Southern View with my colleagues down south. Stay tuned.
वॉल्यूम कम करेंगे? आपका पार्सल फिर से हमारे घर पे आया है।
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में।
माँ भी हमेशा पीमाक मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी, ये आपके लिए।
मैंने कहा था कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में। PMark, the mustard specialist since 1933.
बरसों से सरसों।
अब पुराना कुछ नहीं बचेगा। फ्लिपकार्ट बिग बैंग दिवाली।
In Bihar, बहुत पॉलिटिक्स है। The year's election super final. Can Jai Viru storm the palace? Or will Bihar double engine defend? Fierce fight, electric election. Biggest team, biggest coverage. Battleground Bihar on NDTV 24/7.
A global leader, defining India's moment in history, a voice shaping the future of a changing world.
हम दुनिया को भी बेहतर AI सॉल्यूशंस देने में जुटे हैं।
Catch Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the NDTV World Summit 2025, 17th and 18th October, on the NDTV network, bringing the world to India and India to the world.
ब्रेकिंग न्यूज का जमाना है। सबको तिल का ताड़ और राई का पहाड़ बनाना है। ऐसे में जनता के जूते के अंदर फंसा कंकड़ कौन देखे? बड़े बड़े मुद्दों के शोर में जमीन से जुड़े मुद्दे अक्सर खो जाते हैं। लेकिन देश तरक्की तब करता है जब जनता के माथे की शिकन हमारी हेडलाइंस बनती है। मैं सैयद सुहेल भारत को जीता हूं, भारत की बात बताता हूं। एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
What does the youth of Bihar want in this election? I will dissect and explain.
When it comes to elections, I crunch numbers and tell you what others miss.
Bihar elections, the what, why and how.
I read Bihar politics like no one else.
For over 4 decades now, I have had a ringside view of some of India's
biggest election. This time, I will bring to you the twists and turns of Bihar elections.
Understand the real election dynamics in Bihar. With me on Bihar Battleground.
The ultimate battle for Bihar. NDTV unites the biggest voices, unmissable debates and data discourse. Battleground Bihar on NDTV 24/7.
अब पुराना कुछ नहीं बचेगा। फ्लिपकार्ट बिग बैंग दिवाली।
She's a ballerina who defies gravity, a quantum physicist who decodes the universe. At the NDTV World Summit, Merit More brings science and art together to show us how imagination can bend the boundaries of possibility. Catch ballerina and quantum physicist Merit More at the NDTV World Summit. Live and exclusive at the NDTV World Summit 2025, 17 to 18th October on the NDTV network.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
What does the youth of Bihar want in this election? I will dissect and explain.
When it comes to elections, I crunch numbers and tell you what others miss.
Bihar elections, the what, why and how.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Sun View. This is the bulletin in which we bring you all the breaking news from the south of the country. I'm here, in fact, just outside Anjan Kumar Yadav, senior Congress leader's office. He was a former member of parliament and also TPCC working president, and someone who kicked up a storm as an aspirant for the Jubilee Hills constituency, for which the Congress has announced another name, Naveen Yadav. On that storm and how the Congress is firefighting a little later in the bulletin. But I'm also joined by my colleagues Ashwin Nandkumar from Thiruvananthapuram, Sam Daniel from Chennai and Ritu Rajpurohit from Bengaluru. First, going over to my colleague Ashwin in Thiruvananthapuram. Ashwin, the big controversy about the Sabarimala and the missing gold. Now the court actually saying that the gold did go missing, and you have your own exclusive report as an investigation on the court documents. Tell us more about the developments there, both what your investigation suggests and also the political developments.
Thank you, Uma. In fact, the court has escalated the matter to a next level by looking into deep of the vigilance report that has been submitted to the court. And the court has said prima facie there is theft that has happened in Sabarimala. This essentially means that gold has been retrieved illegally and it has been sold illegally, and that is what a team of SIT has been set up. The court has, in fact, the division bench has, in fact, told that the SIT must investigate this matter and submit its final report in 6 weeks' time. Not just that, they have also added another covert which says that every 2 weeks, the update of the investigation must be given in a sealed envelope to the court. The court has, in fact, mandated one more justice, Ed Shankaran, to go there and see the Sabarimala Sannidhanam to ensure that everything is going as per the plan as well. It has also given full freedom to the SIT to form its team and probe into this matter. And also, it has told the DGP to be one of the party in this Suamoto case as well. So certainly, the High Court has escalated this case to an altogether next level. And in the coming week, we will know whether the gold was where the gold was exactly taken. The NDTV investigation in this matter concurrence with what the court has also said today, and what we have found out that in fact the gold the left Sabrimala on July 20th, 2009 of a suspicious activity. Let's see this particular report which NDTV exclusively brings for our viewers.
What began as a grand donation in 1998 has now turned into one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the hill temple of Sabrimala. In 1998, Vijay Mallya donated around 30 kilos of gold to the Sanctum Sanctorum. A year later, 800 grams was added for gold cladding of the doorkeepers of Sabrimala. But fast forward to 2019, the Travancore Devasam Board allowed Unnikrishnan Poti to refurbish these plates. The journey of these sacred artifacts of the temple and this door raised more questions than answers.
On the 19th of July 2019, the gold cladding on the door and the doorkeepers was removed and weighed at 42.8 kilograms. The next day, on the 20th of July, Unnikrishnan Poti took the dismantled pieces out of Sabarimala and they were meant to head straight to Smart Creations in Chennai. But the consignment reached there only on the 29th of August, 39 days later. When it did, the firm confirmed that the door wasn't solid gold but copper, and the weight had dropped to 38.25 kilograms, a loss of 4.54 kilos.
The 39-day delay in the missing 4.5 kilos of gold was the first puzzle. The return of these artifacts was even more troubling story. Instead of it going back straight to Sabrimala, the artifact made detour to private homes and temples across various states.
In September, once the work was done, Pottu brought it back to Kerala. On the 9th of September, it was taken to a private temple in Kottayam. Between then and September 11th, it was also taken to famous Malayalam actor Jairam's house, to temples in Andhra Pradesh and to a temple in Bengaluru. And finally, on the 11th of September, it reaches Sabarimala.
The unanswered questions remain. Was it the same door that left Sabrimala which came back? If yes, where did the 4.5 kgs of gold vanish? Who authorized the detour of the temple artifacts to private homes and other temples? And today, what truly stands at Sabrimala? Is it gold-cladded one or simply a copper with gold plating? Until there is clarity, the Sabrimala gold door will remain an open mystery and a test of accountability. Fortunately, the High Court has set up its own special investigation team. The faith of millions of Ayyappa devotees now rests with what the SIT is going to unravel. Ashwin Nandakumar for NDTV, Thiruvananthapuram.
To whom? Yes, now let's hear from stories from the state of Tamil Nadu. Over to my colleague Sam from Chennai. Sam.
Thank you, Ashwin. The CAG had flagged severe shortfall in terms of inspections of drug plants across Tamil Nadu, and in terms of shortages or shortfall in terms of collection of samples from these drug manufacturing pharmaceutical companies in the state. In fact, this was given to the Tamil Nadu government and tabled in the Tamil Nadu Assembly in 2024 in the month of December. But now more than 20 children having lost their lives after consuming the cough syrup made by Sreesan Pharma manufacturer outside Chennai in Tamil Nadu's Kanchipuram district. Several questions are being raised whether the Tamil Nadu government failed to act even after the CAG had flagged severe shortcomings in inspections and drug sampling collection. This goes up to 40% shortfall in the case of inspections at drug plants and up to 54% in the case of drug samples collected. While many point fingers at the Tamil Nadu government, the Tamil Nadu Health Minister has put the blame on the then AIADMK government headed by the then Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy and says lessons were learned and actions taken after the report was given to them. He concedes that there were lapses in terms of inspections over the last 2 years at this particular plant. And this is what the state's health secretary, Dr. Senthil Kumar, had to say. Did the government fail to learn lessons after the CAG reports?
It is periodically inspections are being done. So from 2021 and 2022, inspection has been done by the state drug authorities on this firm, and follow-up action including penalty have been levied on this. So the last 2 years there was lapse, and for which action has been taken on the...
This was flagged by CAG report last year. Yeah. Didn't we learn lessons and intensify?
Government has been conducting periodic inspections and taking follow-up action. Other places, intensive inspections have been already ordered, and they are already doing them.
What specific violations have come to light, sir, from this plant, recent plant?
A number of violations have been reported, and follow-up criminal action has...
Around 300? Around 300?
So has the license of
shortage of inspectors a problem, sir? Shortage of inspectors?
No. Recently, government has also recruited almost 90 drug inspectors for the drug...
The loss of lives over this cold reef cough syrup manufactured outside Chennai, the loss of lives in Madhya Pradesh has now turned political, with voices from Madhya Pradesh blaming the Tamil Nadu government for its failure, leading to these 20 children losing their lives. In Tamil Nadu, BJP leader Annamalai has demanded a statement from Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, besides an order from him of an audit across pharmaceutical companies in Tamil Nadu. The ruling DMK denies these allegations, saying that law is taking its course. The man has been arrested and 2 senior drug inspectors have been suspended. And they question in how many issues has the Prime Minister responded for the BJP to demand a statement from M.K. Stalin. This is what Annamalai had to say.
A company like this based out of Kanchipuram, now it is coming to light more than 364 violations were found at different points of time. Still this company was allowed to function. Still this company was allowed to export medicines to different parts of our country. Tragically in Madhya Pradesh, lot of children have died. In Rajasthan, lot of children have died. I personally believe the Tamil Nadu government should take responsibility, because this company was functioning right under our eyes, and CM should make a statement, review the whole process, and make sure all the companies functioning like that, they go through a process quality audit. I feel very shameful that this has happened. Our sincere condolences to all the children in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan who have died, and I hope Tamil Nadu Chief Minister will crack the whip.
For the second consecutive day in public rallies by AIADMK Chief Edappadi Palaniswamy, TVK flags are seen fluttering. On Wednesday at a public rally in Namakkal district, pointing to those flags, EPS had said this is a sign of a new beginning of an alliance, hinting of an alliance between the AIADMK and the TVK. But the TVK quickly dissociated. TVK sources told NDTV that the people seen holding those TVK flags in an AIADMK rally do not belong to the TVK, are not their cadre. But for a specific question whether any background negotiations are underway between TVK and the AIADMK, they are quite tight-lipped. For quite some time, Vijay has been quite soft on AIADMK, triggering speculation that he's perhaps leaving a door open for possible ties with the Dravidian party just before elections. But after the AIADMK had revived ties with the BJP, Vijay started turning the heat on the AIADMK and turned critical. But now Vijay is facing a crisis after the recent stampede in Karur that killed 41 people. The big question, is there a rethink? Earlier, Vijay had called the BJP his ideological enemy and the ruling DMK his political enemy, and ruled out any possibility of ties directly or indirectly with the BJP. The big question, is he having a change of heart? Or is the AIADMK toying with the idea of roping in Vijay, and is it preparing to sever ties with the BJP? No clear answer set, but elections are 7 months away and a lot could happen. That's all from Tamil Nadu. Now it's over to my colleague Uma in Hyderabad for all the news from Telangana. Uma.
Thank you, Sam. A huge setback for the Telangana Congress government here after the High Court yesterday put a stay not just on the conduct of the local body elections and a GO9 that had been issued by the state government. What it also puts in question is the kind of a caste survey and data that the Telangana government had put forth in order to enhance the reservations for the backward classes. Both Rahul Gandhi as well as Revanth Reddy had been showcasing Telangana as that state which is going to lead by example, bringing in an enhancement in the reservation for the backward classes. And the Telangana government had in fact issued a GO9 on the 29th of September, even though a bill that was passed by the state legislature unanimously by all parties has been pending with the governor for his assent for the last 6 months. The Congress government here, the ministers who I have been speaking to say that because the April 2025 judgment of the Supreme Court said that there should be a reasonable time within which a governor needs to give his assent, otherwise it would be deemed to have been given assent. That's the premise